Please help me subscribe to my channel and like it before I start. There are 3 skills you need to master in order to read anyone's mind, and mastering these skills is crucial. Master these methods, and you can effortlessly discern and grasp what anyone is thinking. So let me tell you a Buddhist story that will teach you how to read other people's minds. A long time ago, in a small village, there were 2 brothers living together. The elder brother was blind, so he stayed at home most of the time, while the younger brother worked as a farmer, but their farm was constantly being destroyed by many animals in the fields. My brother was troubled by this problem, but he finally came up with a solution. He thought, why not ask my blind brother to help scare away the animals in the fields? If he hears any animal sound, he can sit in the fields and shout. So our thinking came to this: the younger brother built a small hut in the field and put the elder brother inside. He explained to the younger brother that if you hear the sound of any animal, just shout loudly and the animal will run away, so that you can save our crops. The elder brother agreed with his younger brother's idea and began to sit in the field, and whenever he heard the sound of animals, he would shout and scare them away. This practice continued for many days. Once, a deer ran away, crossed the field and broke the fence. Soon, the king chasing the deer also came to the field. The king noticed the blind brother and asked him, "Have you seen the deer here?" The blind brother replied, "Your Majesty, I am blind, how can I see the deer? But I can see that you are wasting your time by saying that the animals leaving my fields are not worth chasing." The king was surprised by the words of the blind brother and questioned how he could. Knowing this, the king asked the blind brother if he was lying because he claimed to be blind, but he spoke about the value of the deer. The blind brother replied, "Your Majesty, the animal you think is a deer is actually a pregnant doe. I have never heard that. The king hunted the pregnant doe, so I tell you she is not worthy of your pursuit and you should not waste your time chasing her." The king was shocked when he heard this. He could not understand how the blind man could recognize that the doe was pregnant. He thought how the blind man knew this and how he could determine if the deer is mine. Is the one I am chasing pregnant? How could he confidently tell me this information, despite being blind? The king felt the need to verify this, and therefore instructed his commander, "Commander, I want that animal alive. I need to confirm if it is definitely pregnant. Blind seems pretty sure about this. I need to look into it. Please go see if she is pregnant." The king's order was received by the commander, who came back and told the king that the blind brother was right and that the doe was pregnant. The king was filled with surprise and did not understand how the blind man knew that the doe was pregnant. The king had many questions in his mind and decided to ask the blind man to find out the truth of the matter. "I don't know if you are really blind, but let me ask you something. Can you give me the correct answer?" The blind brother replied, "Your Majesty, you can ask whatever you want and I will answer you truthfully." The king said that you are a smart man. It seems that you have a keen insight into many things. I called you here today to see if my wife is loyal to me. The blind brother replied, "Your Majesty, what is the problem with your marriage? It went on for many years, and now you are wondering these things. Why these questions are coming to your mind, but the king insists that you have to answer this question, and if you don't give me the answer I will punish you and you will be sentenced to death." "The king's threat," said the blind brother, "Your Majesty, if you want to know the answer to this question, you have to do me a favor." The king asked, "Tell me what I need to do," and the blind brother replied, "You will have to leave your wife alone." I was in a room, and the king was angry at first after hearing it, but he finally agreed to the request and ordered his commander to leave the blind brother and the queen alone in a room. At that moment, the blind brother expressed his desire to touch the queen. Hearing this, the queen became furious and began to beat the blind brother with all her hands and feet. Later, the blind man managed to escape and came to the king. Then the blind brother told the king, "Your Majesty, your wife is unfaithful." The king was angered. The king asked a question, warning her that any lies would result in her execution. He asked her if she was loyal, to which the queen replied, "Your Majesty, you had better kill me, but I am not loyal." The king was overjoyed because everything the blind brother said was true. When the king heard this, he immediately went to the blind brother and asked how you knew my wife was unfaithful. The blind man replied, "Your Majesty, it is simple. I told your wife that I wanted to touch her and she became so angry that when I told her that I wanted to touch her she started hitting me. She could have said no, but instead she started hitting me, and in the process she touched my the whole body, and now you tell me, how can a woman like this be loyal? The king said, okay, then, we continued. He added another right question, I will let you get out of here. The king then asked, tell me, am I really my father's son or someone to this? The blind brother replied, Your Majesty, why do you bother with this problem? No matter who your parents are, you are the king of this country, so let this question go. But the king insisted, no, I want the exact answer to this question, otherwise, this question always bothers me, so I want to know the truth. The blind brother replied, Your Majesty, I can tell you now whose child you are, but before that I want you to promise that you will not be angry with me. The king said, I promise that I will not be angry with you. Then the blind brother said to the king, You are indeed your father's son, but you are also in the shadow of a stingy businessman. The king heard this and rushed to his mother. He asked her mother, Please tell me the truth, I am really my father's son, or someone else's son. If you don't tell me the truth, I will give my life for it. The king's mother said, Son, you are indeed your father's child, but you are also under a shadow. When the miser heard this, he was overjoyed and immediately returned to the blind brother and asked, How do you know that there is a shadow of the miser in me? If you were any other king, I would have received a lot of rewards, but you haven't given me a penny so far, so I guess you are too stingy. The king laughed and said something casually. You ask and I will give it to you, but tell me, how do you know what is right and what is wrong? How can you provide such a planned and precise answer? The blind brother said, Your Majesty, I was born blind. If I with ease, I can easily understand anyone's thoughts. The mind has its language, and this language can be seen in a person's physical behavior by observing a person's eyes, lips, the way they work and their activities. See, based on this, people can know their thoughts. We can know anyone's thoughts, but I am blind, so I perceive through actions. If I want to know something, I have to assign the task to the next person. To see how that person works and how he accomplishes his tasks, and based on that I can keenly ask, does that mean I can also know what other people are thinking? The blind brother said that of course you can understand anyone's thoughts, but before that, you need to work on yourself, and the job is to calm yourself down. Today I will tell you 3 methods. These 3 methods are very easy and simple, but Your Majesty, before that you must do one thing. When we focus your attention, integrate our thoughts into the present moment, we can understand other people's thoughts because that person is thinking in the present moment. We also have to integrate our thoughts into the present moment, only then we can understand their thoughts. If we are thinking about past events, how will we know where the next person is now what to think? Because we are immersed in past events. To understand anyone's thoughts, first we need to focus and bring it into the present moment. Then the blind brother told the king, Please pray to Your Majesty. I will tell you 3 ways you can easily understand anyone's thoughts. And then the blind man says to the king, O king, the first way is to pay attention to the eyes when we are talking to someone. The most important thing is to look into their eyes because eyes don't speak, but they express a lot of information. If we learn to understand the signals in a person's eyes, we can know what's going on in their head, what they are thinking about, and what they are going to do. I don't have eyes myself, but I came from the revered ancient pagoda many years ago. I learned this skill from Fo, who was my teacher and mentor. At that time I used to have eyes and I could only understand people's thoughts through their eyes. So if you also want to know what other people think, you should focus on their eyes, i.e. their gaze, where they are looking and in what direction. If their eyes move around when you are talking to them, it means they are looking for a way to escape the conversation, then someone may be lying. If people avoid direct eye contact, it means they are worried that their lies will be revealed and people will learn the truth. But if their eyes are still looking at you, they are probably honest and interested and they want to talk to you and share their thoughts. Also watch how their eyebrows move. If their eyebrows are up and their eyes are getting bigger, they may be surprised or curious about what you are saying. Also look at how big or small their pupils are. Is the dark part of the eye? If the pupils get bigger, it means they like you or what you say. They are excited or happy. If the pupils get smaller, it means they don't like you or are uncomfortable or angry with what you say. Also look at how red or white their eyes are. The white part of the eye is called a scar. If the scar is red, it means they are tired, stressed, or sick. They may not want to talk to you. I remember one time I met a tired man. He was traveling when we were talking. His eyes were looking around and never looking at me. It showed that he was worried and wanted to leave as soon as possible. I thought he might be hiding something, that he didn't want to talk to me. Then I asked him more questions and I found out that he had a secret plan. Similarly, other facial expressions can help us easily understand what a person is thinking. Sometimes a person shows different behaviors through their face. If you pay attention to a person's facial expressions, it is easy to understand whether the person is disappointed, very sad, or very happy. You can also figure out how they are feeling inside. All of this can be determined through their facial expressions. The face is like a photo that can show how people are feeling inside. Even if they don't say anything, if you want to understand others better, you have to pay attention to these silent signs. When you see the corners of someone's mouth bent to the sides, making a sad little face, it usually means they are upset, unhappy, or have lost something. You can also tell it in their eyes and their body if they are depressed. On the other hand, a big, genuine smile, one that makes the eyes, and a smile with upturned cheeks, is a sign of happiness, friendliness, and kindness. Eyes are very important in this regard. You can make sure the smile is real when they are small and shiny. Look at the space between a person's eyebrows. Skin wrinkles when it becomes deeper and tighter. This usually means they are confused, trying to think, or trying to understand something difficult or new. The way their mouth is closed can tell you a lot. Often, having their mouth closed and squeezing can mean they don't agree, don't like something, or don't want to talk, but have their mouth open and relaxed, meaning they are open comfortably and ready to talk. As you get better at seeing and understanding these signs on their faces, you will be able to know what is going on inside people and feelings. Whether they speak out loud about their feelings or stay quiet, their expressions will tell you what they are thinking inside. Whether a person expresses it in words or not, you can understand everything from their face. Your Majesty, I will tell you one story. One time I met a sad person and they asked me for help, but they acted like they didn't care, but I saw a little line on their forehead that showed they had. I asked them to tell me their problem and they did it, and after that they felt better and I helped them. A real smile makes the eyes happy too, which means they are happy and kind. A frown makes the eyebrows droop, which means they are worried or confused. When they are surprised or curious, the eyebrows will be raised, and you can tell how they are feeling by looking at their faces. Continue. The blind brother tells the king. The third way is to say that His Majesty has a third language, which is the language of gestures and body language. To understand a person's thoughts, we need to understand a person's gestures and body language when they are speaking. You may have noticed that in addition to their words, they are constantly moving their hands and making gestures. Their body language plays an important role in conveying a person's thoughts. Your Majesty, the body and hands can say a lot without words. It's like a secret way of talking. When someone taps their fingers quickly while talking, you can tell a lot about what they want and feel through the little things they think about. To you, when fingers make a quick sound on something, it could mean that they are in a hurry, are bored, or want to end the conversation as quickly as possible. I remember one time I met a guy who wanted to sell me something and he made this gesture. I knew he was nervous, so I asked him to give me a better price, and he was also surprised that when someone crosses their arms, they probably don't like you, or you say something, and they hide their thoughts from you, which this way of holding your arms is like a wall, keeping their thoughts in check. By seeing this sign, you will feel distant from others. When you talk to them, you can be friendly and careful and make them feel more comfortable and open. When someone leans forward, they are probably interested in you or what you are saying. They are listening carefully to you, which means they are interested and want to hear more. This way of moving their body shows they want to listen. Study and understand what you are talking about. I once had a smart teacher who did this. He was very calm, but he leaned over with interest, showing that he wanted to know more about the topic. Sometimes, those who are working with people who frequently touch their face when you talk can help you understand what they are thinking. This usually means they are thinking hard or have a big idea. These small touches can let you know what they are thinking. Good at using their body and hands to understand. With others, you have to be patient, observe carefully and appreciate what they don't say. These small but important signs, like a quiet book, showing you the feelings and thoughts hidden inside them. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to my channel and click the like bell.